It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, today we're going to jump on the Sharp Interactive board. I want to go through Riso's first half of year ending March of 2023. Folks, you know, Riso put out the numbers. I'm looking at these numbers and I'm thinking to myself, you know, Riso, they're not a big player in the space, on the big grand scheme of things, but they do have a huge potential. You know, when I talked about Toshiba and their numbers regarding Toshiba Tech anyway, you know, they're a small player. They're delivering laser-based equipment. They're just one of the smallest of many doing that. And quite honestly, they could really be disrupted in that print space. Might even go away, is my thinking. When you look at a company like Riso, well, folks, revenue-wise, they're pretty small. But technology and the Riso infrastructure, they have huge potential. And I want to share my thoughts on that. Because we all know that the business print will one day soon all be ink. That's where we're going. We're going to ink. We're going to run from laser and toner, and we're going to adopt and adapt to ink. And when businesses are using ink-based MFPs to do business print, the whole world of the print business completely changes, because we also know that ink takes a whole lot less service than the laser products. So without any further ado, I want to jump on the Sharp board. We're going to go through the numbers over there at Riso, and I'll share my thoughts. I put together some PowerPoint slides. So folks, let's just talk about the numbers, because you got to be able to make money if you want to grow your business and change the game for the players in the industry. But let's look at their numbers. Top line revenue for all of Riso for the first half of FY ending March of 2023 is $261 million. And folks, their operating income was $17.8 million, 6.8%. 17.8 million, 6.8%. So they're making money, right? They got some good operating income there. But if you look at that revenue of $261 million for the first half, that's basically we're all looking at a $500 million company worldwide. Now you would all think that's a pretty small number. But folks, when you look at the products they have and that niche that they're in right now, that's a pretty good number. And when you look at some of the growth they've had, especially here in Americas, it's interesting. But let's dig a little bit deeper into these numbers. So, you know, for the most part, Riso's selling print equipment, okay? They have a real estate business and some other little things, but the majority of their business is coming out of print. But let's look at this. The printing business on its own, okay, in Japan, they did $125.6 million. So $125.6 million of the revenue in the printing business is coming from Japan. In the overseas market, and this is really interesting to me, in Americas, $19.9 million of that $261 million came from Americas. Folks, $20 million, and that is a little bit of a bump, and that's based on the weakness of the yen. So we're seeing these revenue numbers a little bit high right now because of the weakness of the yen. But folks, at the end of the day, we're talking about a, $35, $40 million business in the United States with Riso. There's only one place that can go, right? It's really up, because their products are good and people do like their products, and they're moving more of those products into the marketplace. They displayed at the big print show in Vegas a couple of months ago, and they're getting momentum on their higher end production inkjet based machines. And the question is, can they really get the momentum and really take that thing and kick it to a big old start? I think they probably can. Look in Europe. The revenue in Europe is $56.4 million. I translated the yens to dollars. But $56.4 million. I mean, folks, that's more than double what's going on here in America. It's very, very interesting. In Asia, they're $53.4 million. So you can see the bulk of their business is in Japan. Europe's doing pretty damn well with it, right? And America's, you know, here's the reality. I believe that when Riso kicked off the inkjet production stuff, and I'm going to share that with you in a second, I believe this is a game changer for them. And because in that production space, when you look at the main players, the Konica Minoltas, the Ricos, you know, the Canons, it's all laser toner based, and those are just service intensive machines. And the marketplace is going to realize really quick, man, we got to get rid of the heat. We got to get rid of all the service intensive PMs that take 3 days and all the nonsense that goes with laser. And we got to move these products over to ink. And Riso is really positioned to really gain some momentum in that space. I truly do believe that. But folks, let's look at the operating income for the print business by itself. for FY 2023, which ends, you know, their year ends in March of 2023, 17.8 million in operating income, and 15.6 million of that came from the printing equipment. So again, it's the biggest part of their business from a revenue and an operating profit. But let's look at some of their products and stuff. So folks, we've known Riso for a long time, the duplicator machines. Remember that? The masters. Holy smokes, you'd go into the church, they want to run one original, but they want to make thousands of copies of it. It was so much better to do those on those duplicator machines. We all remember them, right? We sold a lot of them. And then times have changed over the years. If you look back in 2013, the percentage of inkjet business that Riso had, just on their inkjet technology, was 36%. And here in 2023, or 2022 going into 2023, it's 53%. So it's grown quite substantially over the last 10 years. But I believe they're on the precipice of really starting to knock it out of the park, if you will. They have the potential to really gain some momentum. As long as they can get their marketing down, they can get the attention of the dealer network out there, they really have some momentum. Because folks, look at their products. I mean, I don't know if you've all heard of this one, but this Valis, and I think I said it right, the T2100. This thing's a phenomenal product. You know, my friend Frank Cucco at Impact Networking has a Riso inkjet-based machine that they do their invoices on, and that thing folds and puts them in the envelope, the whole thing is one run. And last time I was talking to him, he told me that that machine had never had a service call on it. And this was the second one that he had. The first one he had for 5 years, never had a service call on it. This one's he's had for about 1.5 years, I think now, 2 years, never had a service call on it. So that's pretty amazing. You know, pounding out tens of thousands of invoices. And think about it, this thing's folding them up, making an envelope out of them. It's just crazy stuff. It's really cool stuff, but it's interesting technology to say the least. And it's got a lot of legroom. But folks, you know, they came out with this color inkjet printers. They're excited about this. And here's the question. Can Riso create products that could get the attention in that MFP space in the business world? Do they want to mainly stay in the production and light production space? Because I think if they took their technology and they went into that business space, that business MFP space around A4 products, they might be able to really cause some havoc and cause some disruptions. We'll see where they end up going with that stuff. But folks, you know, that comp color stuff's pretty interesting. I mean, think about this ink technology. Just think about it. You take out all the heat, you take out all the problems for the most part. You really do, folks. And when you have fast drying ink and it's oil-based ink and it's, you know, it's a patented process they have, but folks, they're definitely changing the game in ink, and they're changing the game in the way people see them. Because I think people are looking at Riso a whole different way. But let's talk about ink in general, because I'm really convinced that ink's where we're going. You got some main players in here, okay? You got Kyocera that kicked off that Task Alpha 15,000C. You know, they work well with Riso, by the way. They have some relationships with Riso. And it'll be interesting to see what maybe Kyocera and Riso do in the future together. I mean, they could be a powerful company together. But we got Epson. You know, I talked about Epson last week, but we see Epson doing a lot of cool things around ink, going into that business print space. You know, they're trying to really disrupt it. They're trying to disrupt it from an A3 perspective. I wish they'd focus more on an A4 perspective. We got our friends here at Riso. You know, you got Brother that has some ink, and they're trying to get into that business print, that MFP space, that A4 MFP space, but they're really focused on laser, I think. They're not really focused on ink technologies. And we don't need more laser printers going into the business space. We already got enough of that. We need people to go into that business space and shake it up and change the game, because ink definitely changes the game. Of course, our friends at HP, you know, I kind of gave up on them. You know, they bought Samsung. They were going to disrupt the A3 marketplace with Samsung A3, and that didn't really do much in the last 4 or 5 years. And at the end of the day, you know, it's going to be about ink. It's going to be about A4 MFPs that can do what a business needs to do, ink-based, so they can get rid of a lot of the service activity. They could change the game on acquisition. They could change the game on service. These players are in the position to do it. The question is, which one's going to really do it? Which ones, are they going to come together? Are some of these folks going to come together? Are some of these folks going to go to the other OEMs and start, you know, making ink for them? Because, folks, the bottom line is this, my last slide. Today I declare that it's time to start the A4 MFP ink-based revolution. You know, back in 2017, I started the A4 revolution. I started screaming, we're overspecking and we're overselling. A3 equipment, we got to move to A4. Oh, tons of naysayers back then. Tons of naysayers. The press used to write articles and title them, it's not about A3 or A4. Remember that? And the consultants out there, and everybody was talking about how we're never going to go to A4, blah, 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 and all the reasons why A4 wouldn't work. And now today, here we are. That's all anybody talks about. So I think it's time to start another revolution, and that one's going to be an A4 MFP ink-based revolution. It's going to happen. You're going to see momentum. I think Epson's going to play a big role in causing some of that momentum. And we'll see what happens with our friends over at Riso. We'll see where Kyocera goes with that Task Alpha 15,000C. Do they move that technology downstream? But I assure you, within the next couple of years, you're going to see a major shift to ink-based technologies. And Riso, I think they're in a good position to play that game. We'll see how they do. Because everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.